Awesome. So today we are going to implement a polls app. So we've worked with the polls app before. We want to be able to view questions, edit questions, and I forget the rest, but we'll we want a few okay, view questions, view a particular question, view results, vote on a question, and then if we have time, we can work on maybe editing a question. Edit a question. Editing, maybe deleting. So
Can we talk about that for just a quick sec? So in this instance, where you're talking about a poll on a certain day and time, and you're asking people questions, to go back and change the nature of the question after someone has given an answer doesn't seem correct. How can you keep track of what you did do in the past?
So I mean, it depends how we design this. So maybe editing a question, we only allow adding new choices. And so technically we're not editing the question itself, but we're adding choices to that question. That's a bigger design question that we can talk about afterwards. Please remind me. Yeah, after we start working on this. Okay. I am gonna start. I'm gonna create a virtual environment. I think I actually have one already, so I am going to source /bens. Let me see what I have. I do have a polls environment. I'm gonna activate it. Okay, so now we're here. And just in case, I'm going to install Django again. Already installed. And then I'm going to also install PsychoPG2. Okay, so that one was not installed. I'm just going to wait for it to run.
Could you explain exactly what PsychoPG2 is doing for us?
So PsychoPG2 allows a connection from a Python program or script to a Postgres database. So Django uses it on the back end to make the queries against the database.
So if we don't install like PsychoPG2, we can't do queries in Django.
Yeah. So if you don't install it's a database driver. Yeah. So basically, if you don't install it, you'll get errors if you're trying to use a Postgres database with your project and you don't have it. You'll get an error saying that we couldn't find PsychoPG2. So it's just, yeah, it's a library that that Django uses to be able to connect to the database.
Okay, so Django used its own type of database, a different type of database?
No.
Before?
Oh, yes. So let me create a project real quick and then we'll see the database that it has. So I'm going to start a project. So Django start project. And I'm going to call this a polls project. Okay. And then I'm gonna change my directory into that folder, and then run start app. So Django start app. Oops, I forgot to add a name. So I'm gonna call this a poll app. There we go. So now in my project, I have my folders. So if I look at my settings, if I scroll all the way down to databases, the default database that is set right now is SQLite 3. So that is why we can use it without, like when we're trying to use Django, and like you can migrate and stuff like that, because this is the built-in one and we're not using Postgres yet. But when we change it to PostgreSQL, that will require using PsychoPG2.
Okay, so if we want to use like MySQL, we'd have to get a different driver.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, you would have to based on whatever Django uses or needs.
Okay. And so PsychoPG2 was made for Django to talk to it, or it has like broader applications as well?
It has other applications, so it can be used with any application. So
Gotcha.
I'll try to find time to share or to show you guys, but a while back I had written a script that adds data to the database just from a regular Python file. So you don't need to use it from Django specifically.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I created my project. I'm going to set up my database. I haven't created a new one. Actually, I might have. Let's see, JumpDB, polls DB. Okay, I did have one. Create DB. Okay, so now I have a polls DB that I can use, and I'm just gonna put that in here. Today we might use static files. We might use Django and JavaScript. So I am going to add that in here. So static files underscore earth, I believe, equals empty list. I hate that it does that automatically. And then space directory / static. Okay. So if I add this, if I don't add a static folder, it will give me an error if I try to do anything. So I'm just going to add the static folder right now. I don't have to put anything in it though. Okay, so I've set that up. What else do I need to do?
Connect
Install
your app.
apps.
I have to add the app, and it's called polls app. Okay. And save. I think I am done here. So I'm going to close my settings out. So let's create a route to start off with. So let's just make an index route. So urls.py. I'm going to create another urls.py inside of my polls app. urls.py. I'm going to copy this. I mean, you don't have to copy it, but it's just easier sometimes. So if you copy over the information from the project urls.py, make sure you don't have the duplicates. So the other one has admin. I don't need admin in here. So all that you have to do is import the path, have URL patterns as a list. And in this list, I'm going to set a certain path. So I can set the base path to views.index. And I have not imported my views yet. So from dot import views. Okay. So I wrote my polls app URLs. Now I have to actually include it in my project URLs. So I'm going to import include as well. And I'm going to include, it's called polls app dot URLs. Okay, so I'm including the URLs for the polls app. So if I had multiple applications, so let's say this was, instead of just a polls project, it was like a school portal. And I had maybe a polls app, I had an attendance app, I had a grades app or something like that. I can have different, I can set here, so polls slash, so anything with slash polls on it will go to my polls app. And if I had another app for attendance, I can do attendance here, and then I have my attendance app in there. But one thing to note is if you do this, when you go to your base URL, so your localhost 8000, you won't be able to actually access anything here because you have to put slash polls in front of everything to access whatever is inside your polls here. So just be wary of that. It's not a big deal if you do want to add a like a specific URL for your apps. Just for usability, make sure to add an empty route one, maybe have like a link in there to just reroute you to slash polls.
Can you show us how to do that again?
Yeah.
To route that empty route to somewhere, and you're in the project URLs, right?
Yeah, so all I would have to do is write a Python file similar to the views here. So all I would have to do is I can even just put it in here. So I can define a function called index that takes in a request. So this function can be anywhere, and you can import it like we imported the views.py here. So I can just create an index here and import, forgot the, so I can import the render if I wanted, and here it's just going to be the index function. And so here I can just render a specific page. So I can choose a template that I chose already, and maybe that template has a link, and then that link will reroute to polls slash, and that'll take us to our polls app. So actually, I'll just connect it real quick. Actually, instead of render, I'm going to import from HTTP response, or it was Django.http, import HTTP response. And in here, I can just return an HTTP response with an A tag, so just a link. I always forget if I need. And then href equals whatever the link I want to be. So I can just say slash polls. We'll see if that works. And this is going to be a string that we're sending in. And I'm gonna these just need escape characters. That's why it's before. Okay, I think I have it So if I start my server, manage.py, run server. Here's .index. I did not create an index in here, so I'm just gonna say home. Actually, I'm gonna call it something different. Quest, and then here, I'm gonna return Django.http. I'm gonna return an HTTP response saying hello world. I'm just gonna say hello. I don't like hello world. Okay. So I have home. I need to update from the word home to index, from index to home. Okay. So this is within my polls. This is within my project. So if I go to /polls, I see hello, because that is what I put in my views.py, right? If I go to just localhost, I don't get anything right now. I think I might have, oops. Oh, I didn't actually put a string in the A tag, so you can't see anything displayed there. Click to go to polls. Okay. So if I click on this, it goes to /polls. I have an extra character here, which is why it's not working. I think that will work. So if I go back to localhost, I can click to go to polls, and then it reroutes me to /polls. So if I just had the /polls, it's not a big deal if you're testing out things, but I would recommend always having something on your base route, because from a usability standpoint, if you go to a website and you don't see anything immediately, and you have to know what route to go to, it's a little annoying. So that was just my 2 cents on that. Okay. So we've connected our polls. We know that.
One other question there is another way to quickly insert all of the available routes and pages into that first, into the top of that page when you're building these sites, or is it just a matter of building the HTML? Yeah, it's just a matter of building the HTML. That's at least what I know of. Yeah, Zach was saying like having a nav bar and stuff like that. But yeah, it's mostly just building out the page that you want to see. And yeah. Okay. So we have our routes connected, so our URLs. These are the 2 that I'm going to be using. Okay, so now if we go to that page, everything works. Let's set up our models now. So we've already set up our database, but we want to create our models. Okay, so I'm opening models.py. We want to create a question model, and I want to create also a choice model. Okay, so not sure if we've mentioned this. We have mentioned this, I mean, but we didn't really see this this diagram here. So Django's architecture is based off of the MVC model. So MVC stands for model, view, and controller. So think of your model as just the models.py. Your view is whatever your user is viewing. So your actual templates. I know it's a little confusing because we have a views.py, but view is whatever your user is going to be viewing. And then controller is what you put
into views.py, and that is the driving logic behind your application. So the Django framework and others that are similar, they have this model where you have models for your database. So you have your data objects, you have your front end templates, and then you have your controller, which is going to control what happens when different routes or different requests happen. So like we've seen before, our HTTP request goes to our urls.py, so our router, and it gets interpreted to figure out where should we relay this request. So this request goes to whatever view method that is in there, so the controller, and then our view can give an HTTP response. Our view can also render a template, and our view will also read and write data from our models. So our view is kind of like the central command of our application. Okay, so with that, let's create our models. So for the question model, I'm going to create class question, and it's going to inherit from models.model. This one will have question text. Question text equals, what kind of data type should I make this?
Char field.
Okay, char field. What do I need in a char field? What is the attribute? What is it?
Max length.
Max length. And I'll just set max length equal to 100. I actually don't know what the max, maybe it's 266, like I'll get back to it. I'm gonna do 256, just 255, yeah, just in case. Okay, so we have our question text, and maybe I want a published date. So models dot, this probably should be a date time field. And I can have it be date published. At another time, we'll see how we can automatically have this date populate whenever we insert a record. Yeah, we'll see that at another time. So, and then we want our choice. And our choice is going to have choice text. And I'll make this a char field as well. For our choices, max length. I'm just going to put 200 for now. And then we are also going to have votes. So our votes, I'm going to make this an integer field. And this integer field, I'm going to set the default to be 0. So when I'm actually inserting these choices, I don't have to set the votes. It'll just automatically go in. I just have to set the choice text. And so I need to have a choice be connected to a question. And so questions will have many choices. So where do I put my foreign key? I want a one-to-many relationship.
With choice, since it's below it.
Yes. And why? Why do you think?
Because if you put it above to questions, it's before it's happening, and it's not gonna know where the variable is at. Like it's if you put choice up top there. Yeah, so
So if I
Yeah,
did
you-
this,
if you did it there, if you could do that too, yes, you just have to call choices versus questions.
okay, but if I do this, what happens to this relationship? So we know that the foreign key allows a one-to-many relationship. And if we put the question having a choice, what will happen here?
Does that allow basically many questions to one choice instead of the other way around?
Exactly, yes. So you usually want to put the actual attribute in the one that has the many. So choice can only have one question. So you will want to put the question in here. Yeah, if you flip it, you'll allow, like, I think, I don't know who said it, Ben or Brian, but yeah, it'll flip the relationship. So you'll have many questions for a choice. And we don't want that. So the only way you can, the only relationship that can be inversed is the many to many, because we want many on both sides. So that one you can put in either order. But for this one, you have one question per choice. So you will put the question in here. So I'm going to create this as a foreign key. Yes, so with a one-to-many, you will put the foreign key on the many. So what do I have in here? What do I put in here? What's the first parameter for my foreign key?
The question class.
Question. And then what else?
On delete.
Yeah. So on delete, what do you guys think? If we delete a question, what should happen to the choice?
It should go away.
I like that idea. So we'll do models.cascade, which means if our question gets deleted, then the choice that is attached to that question will get deleted as well. Okay. Okay, so now we have our two models or our two tables. Let's, what do we need to do next?
Migration.
So Python manage.py, make migrations. Awesome. So created our two models. And then I'm going to migrate. Manage.py, migrate. So the reason why, again, there's all of these migrations is when you start a project, it comes built in with a bunch of migrations that handle all the admin stuff.
What did you migrate to? I thought we had to have a database established to migrate.
We did in the beginning when we were looking at the settings. We set up our database. So we chose PostgreSQL as our engine, and our database name is polls_db, and that is, I created it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, oops, not school. So if I go to inspect my polls_db, I can see our tables. And I see here that my two polls app models showed up here as tables. So we have our choice and we have our question. Okay. So now we have our tables. Let's add some data, I would say. Data can be added in multiple ways again.
Can you go a little bit back on the delete, the cascade method? I'm trying to understand like why we will want to delete the question. Can you explain it again?
Yeah. So this on delete method is basically saying that I have a connection. So this is inside of choice, right? Choice has a question field that is attached to an actual question. So we set the on delete to determine if a question gets deleted somehow. If a user decides to delete a question, what should we do with the choices that are attached? So when we say model.cascade, if we delete a question, the choices that are attached to that question will also get deleted. If I didn't want this, I can do there's a bunch of different ones. Restrict, set null. So if I want, so if I delete a question, all I want to do with this field is set it to null. And then I will, in my database, all the choices are still going to be there, but for the question, it's going to be set to null. Does that make sense?
No. Okay, the association with those two models. Can you repeat the association? We have one choice for different and different question for one choice, or we have like
different choices for one question.
Different choices for one question.
Yeah. So when we're creating, so one to many fields. The foreign key goes on the many side. So whichever model is going to be the many, you will put this foreign key in there. So because I want many choices per question, I will add the question attribute in here because I want each choice to have a question that it is related to. But questions, I don't want multiple questions for one choice. If I did want that, if I wanted to allow using multiple questions for multiple choices, I could add, instead of a foreign key, a many-to-many relationship. So if it was many-to-many, that means that my question will have choices, but also my choices will have questions. It'll have multiple. So when you're trying to create a relationship, this is all it comes down to. So we have our one-to-many. Oops. Use models.foreign key. Foreign on the many side. We also have a one-to-one relationship. We're going to use models dot. This is one word. One-to-one field, I believe. And this can be added on either one. And then many-to-many, you will use models dot many to many field on either side. So when we're talking about sides, this is just because when there's a relationship, it's usually between two models. So a one-to-one, you'll use a one-to-one field on either of the models. One-to-many, you'll use a foreign key on the many side. And then a many-to-many, you'll use a many-to-many field on either side, whichever one comes afterwards. Yes, I do believe that the many-to-many creates a new table. I'm not 100% sure. I need to check it out, play around with it. But yeah. Did that help?
Yes, it did. I had my notes kind of like the opposite way for the one-to-many. I put the foreign key has to be on the one side, so that's what got me confused.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad that was cleared up. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so we have our, I'm gonna actually, oh no. One sec. I'm just gonna change this back to a foreign key because I'm gonna mess stuff up. Oh, what happened? Okay. I made my migrations. I accidentally closed my terminal. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I have my migrations. There are multiple ways to view my information. Today I'm going to use the admin site because it makes it a little easier to see everything visually. So before I do that, I have to run manage.py and run this command, create super user. So this allows us to create a user for the admin site. So I'm just gonna call it admin, So I want to show you something. So this uses the email validator, or like you can set one of these fields as an email field and it'll validate by an email via email address. So what it's actually looking for is an @ symbol and a valid domain. So .a is not a valid domain because it doesn't exist. But if I used a.co, that works. So co, com, org, all of those are valid. Just gonna choose an insecure password because it's easier for me to remember. Okay. That is bad practice, by the way. Please make good passwords. Okay. So I'm gonna run my server now. Manage.py, runs server. Okay, now I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna go to localhost 8000/admin. I'm gonna log in. Okay. Okay, so I don't see my models, and that is because I forgot to register them here. So admin dot I think it's oops, not options, register
Site.
.site.register. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And then I send in, is it a list or is it just comma separated? Does anyone remember?
No, you have to put the model name.
Yeah.
That you want to add.
Okay, so it's not in a list, it's just like
So
models.
you just call the model name.
Okay, so I'm going to import, where am I? I'm in here, so I can just say from .models import star. So that will import all of my models. And I'm doing the star because I know that I only have 2 models and it's not going to be too much and I need them all. So I can just use the star. So I have question and I have a choice. I save this. Let me. Voice has no. Did I read it wrong? No. Choice has not added up. Yeah, all I have to do is this. Did anyone see anything that I'm doing wrong? No.
So I'm coding along and I think it's something with choice because like I took choice out of it and just registered question and it worked.
Because it is a model type. So it should have.
Try to put choice in first to see if it's just because it's the second one.
Okay.
That is thrown there.
Nope.
But now it's question.
Have it as a list.
It is a list?
Yeah.
No.
Or you just register them in different line.
They try to just do them different lines to.
On the first one you do choice and the second one you do question.
No, it worked now. So I can,
Okay.
yeah, it worked. So it is a list if I want to send in multiple. Yeah, it's working now. Okay, now I can, oh, I need to restart it. I already did, okay. So now I see my polls app models are here. So I'm gonna add some questions. What's a question that I can add?
What's your favorite color?
Color. Okay. I'm gonna say I'm publishing it today. Time now. I'm gonna save. Okay. What's another question?
What's the meaning of life?
Okay. Gonna do the same here. Okay, one last question.
Why Django?
A very valid question. Okay. Awesome. So let's add some choices. Let's add it for the first question. Oh, so you notice here, we're only seeing question object 1. If I go back to my models and I add a dunder method, it'll actually give me I'm gonna say question, and then I'm gonna add question text. Oh, I actually forgot how to do this. Hold on. Oops, I forgot that it takes in self, so I can just do self. Okay. And then I'm gonna add one for choice. Choice text. Okay. I think I might have to. Oh, okay. I didn't have to remigrate or anything. So if you add that Dunder method string, it just shows up automatically. So let's do favorite color. I'll say blue. Votes are automatically set to 0 because we set that default. So next, what's another color? You guys are too slow.
Fuchsia.
Fuchsia, how do you even spell that?
Fuchsia, I think.
SIA. Okay. It's favorite color. Okay, let's add a choice for what's the meaning of life?
42.
42. Great answer. Another answer or another choice? Meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
Let's do it. Okay, let's add why Django.
Why not?
Okay. Let's add another choice for this one.
We
Because
like
I'm
struggle.
poor.
We like to struggle and I'm bored. Okay. We like to struggle and I'm gonna create the I'm bored one.
I think we need a Quentin Tarantino response as well.
As in the response is just Quentin Tarantino or
Yeah, the answer is just
because
Quentin
yes,
Tarantino.
I remember. I actually started watching it the other day. Okay. But you can also delete select. That's cool. Let's add one more to what's the meaning of life? No one has anything?
Deflated footballs.
Okay. Let's do it. Save. Awesome. Okay, so we have a bunch of choices and a bunch of questions. So let's actually go back to our app and make things appear on the screen. So our models, we don't really need to touch anymore for now. My admin page, I don't need URLs and views. That's pretty much all I'm going to be using. Okay. So let's make a few paths. So we have our home path. Oops. Oh my God. There we go. So if you add a name, I know some people do this. If you add a name here, it's giving an alias pretty much to your path. So in your template, you can just call that URL by name instead of putting in whatever is in here. So if I want, I can name this home. I can create another path to, I don't know. Let's say we want a path that gets a specific question. So we can do, we can grab a question as a parameter or yeah, a URL parameter. What do I put in here if I want it to be an integer? For question ID.
INT.
Int, and then colon, and then question ID. So I want to be able to put in any integer in the URL and get an ID based on, or a question based on that question information. So for this one, I'm going to call it .detail. So it'll give me the question information when I put the ID up there. And I'm going to give it an alias. And this alias will be detail. Okay. I'm going to add another path. We want to view the results as well. So these results can be viewed maybe with the question ID and then slash results. I think that's a good way to do it. And let me just, okay. Question ID. And then slash result. And for this, use dot results, and then the name is going to be results. Okay. Our last path that we're adding right now is for the voting. So, oops. And to vote on a question, I'm just going to have the question ID, because I probably need to use that to grab the question on the back end. So question ID. / vote. And this vote one will most likely be just used by like a post request maybe, or we'll see. Actually, we'll see how we want to implement this. So use that vote, and then we're going to set the name to vote. Okay, so we've created the routes. I forgot the slash over here. I'm also going to stop my server because I'm going to keep getting errors until I fix everything. Okay, so we have our paths. I'm going to go into my views and I'm going to just define the functions for them. So I'm actually just going to copy them over because they're all self-explanatory. Copy. Okay. So I have home, I have the detail, which just returns, you're looking at question ID, and then the results, and then you're voting. Okay. So we've seen this before from the last time we did this example. So now if I go to my page after I start my server. Okay. So again, at the base, we didn't have anything. So everything is going to be /polls. So polls were at the index. If I say polls 2, we're looking at question 2. Polls 2 / results will give us the results for question 2. And then /vote, you're voting on question 2. Okay, so we set up all of this. What are you asking about? What shortcut are you guys looking for? Oh, the alias for the name. Is this what you guys are talking about?
I just had a question of why we need aliases. It's probably been answered. I just can't remember what it is. What's the alias do compared to view.details?
For this one, you're saying? Like these
or any of them.
aliases?
What are the details doing for us? What is
So,
the name doing for us?
So the name is going to allow us to access, to reference this URL from the templates with just a name detail. So instead of having to write like question, like instead of having to write 2 /details or not details /results in my URL when I'm trying to reroute, or if I want to, we'll see it when we get to the templates. But instead of doing this, I can just say, yeah, so Django templates has a syntax like this, and then you can say that this is a URL, and then you just give it the name, so results. So instead of actually specifying the result URL, this will help if your URLs are longer or the format is a little weird. You can just do this, and then you can put whatever parameter you want in here. So I can just put the 2 in here, and that will be equivalent to this. So if I want to access details, I could just go to detail like that. So we'll see how we can actually use that when we're doing the template.
Zainab, in the in your views.py, I just want to clarify, was that just a big copy paste that you did from notes somewhere, or did you do some kind of command to make that all happen?
No, I copied it from the notes.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at a point where we've set up our pages. So let's take a little break and then we can come back and actually grab the data from the database using the models.